Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. In this video lesson, it's going to be a Q&A, and the question that was asked of me was, what's the difference between stencils and masks? So I'm going to be answering that in this video lesson, and we're going to create a little project, well, actually two projects while we're at it. So first of all, let me go over quickly the supplies we're going to be using, and you can use whatever you have on hand, and you can even make your own stencil and mask to practice. I'm going to be using DecoArt media, matte medium, white gesso, the paints transparent red iron oxide, and quinacridone burnt orange. I've got a piece of Terra Scan. This is paper made from stones, 4x6 sides when they're sample cards. I have another one on the side already made because we're doing two projects. White dictionary paper. And before you ask, this dictionary was destined for landfill, so no haters. I've got some miniature stamps with some StazOn ink. I've got a white gel pencil and a Staedtler pigment liner. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these. My favorite Bristle Bright, a stencil brush, and a flat brush. And the feature of the lesson, I'm going to be using on the floor. We're using the DecoArt Andy Skinner mixed media stencil. This is the stencil mask called Vogue. When you get the package, you get the stencil. Then there's another one, which is the mask, and what it is the piece. These pieces are actually just tacked together. Really, they could have done it with just that. So you get that. So there's your stencil, and then the mask, and you just pop these out. And the mask is this. It's the cutout. So really, what you're left with are two stencils. So that's the mask, that's the positive, and the stencil is the negative. So I'm going to create the exact same project, one using the stencil, one using the mask, so you can see the difference, and then you can practice. So what to do is go, if you don't have this, go onto Google, or even draw by hand, draw a silhouette of a cat, and not too much with a skinny tail, but just, a head, whatever. And then what to do, so you're going to draw that out on cardstock, and then carefully cut that out. That way you'll have the head as your mask, and then you'll have the cutout as the stencil, and you can practice the same technique. Any dictionary paper, you could even just handwrite and then put matte medium so it shows through. The whole thing is the transparency. All right, so I'm going to be using this fashion chickie over here, and so it'll be like that. Then I'm just going to stamp hello in there. And put that over there. All right. So first we got to prep our paper. So I'm going to take the Terra Skin with the matte medium. And I'm going to prepare this. And then I have one that's already prepared. And anyway, I mean, you can even stamp if you want on this, just to get something down on paper. Put that there, push it. And then from here, once it dries, you can cut it. What I like to do is do the back and just fold the paper over. It just makes the paper stronger, or the card stronger. So it's up to you. And I know I'm doing this part really fast because I want to get to the meat of the project. And it's like wrapping a flat present. And then another layer. And everybody has their own way of doing this. I'm doing it the easy way. I don't like doing this stuff. Like this present wrapping stuff. That's Joe's domain. I like gift bags because you could reuse them. That one, and then that one. And then if you're doing this as a gift, then you can put a label on the back, but it'll be nice and strong. But take your time when doing this. Try not to work as fast as I'm working. And you've got that. Flatten that out. And you can put another layer of matte medium on there if you want. I'm not going to worry too much about that. So I'm going to put that aside. Over there. And let me just quickly wipe this off. So what we're going to do we're going to make the base of, it's, I'm inspired by, you know, we just got over, well, we didn't get over it, but there's like Fashion Week, and Joe and I just launched our Caribbean collection with our one-of-a-kind pens and every photo shoots and all that stuff, of all this fashion stuff. So that's got me inspired. So I'm gonna get rid of all this matte medium on my hands. Ugh. So I got inspired with that. Alrighty, so I've got the card. Not quite dry on the back, but that's fine. What we're going to do is we're going to paint the entire card with a mix of transparent red iron oxide and quinacridone burnt orange. I'm using a fluid acrylics. You can use, you know, other paints. DecoArt doesn't make the transparent red iron oxide anymore, so I'm gonna enjoy it as long as I can. And the quinacridone burnt orange, do it half a part, and that's just to put a little bit of variety in the mixture. And I'm going to take, use the same brush. I didn't have to rinse that brush. And I'm just going to paint the whole thing. And the quinacridone burnt orange just makes the transparent red iron oxide go a little bit further, only because it's not made anymore. Okay, so what's going to happen now, we're going to do the mask first, is when we're done, basically all that's going to be left is the actual girl with this part here. Everything else is going to be white. So I'm going to put that in water, and now I'm going to dry this with the heat gun. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just taking some of that paint, and I'm just going over the middle part just to create a little bit of texture in there, just so it's not flat, but it's important that it's transparent so you can see the letters. Okay, put that aside, and let's see if I can reuse this. This is just palette paper, and hopefully the table's not shaking. And just quickly warm that up, dry that up. Now, what you may have to do when you get your first set of, your first time and you take it apart, you may have to trim off the parts where the mask was part of the stencil, where it comes apart. You may have to trim that off. And this is the reason why you want to get the matte medium off your fingers. Now it's stuck to me. Now you can use a low tack medium. I've got some from Krylon over on the shelf there, but it's the middle of winter. It's like -22 outside with the wind chill. I can't open the windows, so I'm going to use this as is. This is dry, and you can use double-sided tape. Probably it's going to lift it up. You want to keep that as flat as possible, then position it. So that's what I'm looking at right here. So you can use whatever you want as the painting medium. I'm going to use gesso. And so what we're going to do is we're going to paint all around, and I'm trying to, where her arm, where the body is, like the skinny part, is to push down instead of going like this, because it might lift the stencil up. One thing I haven't tried with this is what would happen if I used like a texture paint and just literally covered it over. You'd have a lot of waste, so you might want to have a book ready. To use up the excess. I'm going to turn this over. And the reason why I'm not using a flat brush here is I can't push the, get off. I can't get off. I can't push the paint the way I can with this bristle brush. Because what does this initial layer, the stencil sticks a little bit to, or the mask sticks a little bit to the substrate, which will help. Now this one here, I'm going to be doing, I forgot to put the mask down. Oops. I can't talk and paint at the same time. Oops. Okay, well, I guess I'm lifting her up now. Yeah, I messed that one up. Okay, well, let's see what happens. See, now you're going to see a definite division line between where the paint touched. Okay, so let's see if I can just... I could line it up again, but it will likely unlikely match. There you go. So that's the effect with the mask. And then I can just go in and just add a bit more carefully. So that's good. I'm going to put that aside to dry now. So and then these ones here, you basically just, clean them. Because this is the really high density like plastic, I can use rubbing alcohol to clean these when the window's open. A brush hair is determined to be part of this flippin' piece of art. If it was a chaos hair, it wouldn't bother me so much, but I don't like it when it's the brush hairs. These bristle brushes are notorious for shedding. That's their nature. All right, so now I'm gonna put that aside. I'm gonna wait for that to dry, then I'll do the quote after. So now with this one here, we kind of have to do this in a bit of reversed. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put gesso on this first. And then we're going to stencil the paint. What I should have done with the other one, I could have done the actual call-out bubble with the stencil. That would have been just fine. Nice wrinkles in there. I don't need that anymore. Let's cover that up. Now I have to dry this before we stencil it. All right, so we're going to do the same thing now. I'm going to turn the stencil the same way. Right there. And I'm going to use this as a placeholder. So, yeah, we're about right there. Now, stenciling with fluid paint is much harder than not. Because the paint is so fluid, it could easily slip underneath. So we've got to be very careful. Light applications. But you can get quite the nice effects. I'm going to come in from the outside. Make sure that it dries. And go in with the center. And the effect is, it's up to you how how many layers you want to put on here. Lift it up. Put that over here. Now, if you're awful at stenciling like I am, what I should have done is when the gesso was dry, before I did this, a layer of matte medium. That way, because when I got a little bit of paint over here, it would wipe off immediately because the matte medium would act as a barrier layer. And now this part here. Okay, I'm going to do this one really, really light. Because I want to do the stenciling. The other one, I know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to stamp it, I should say. I'm going to handwrite it with the gel pen. It's much harder lining it back up. Here we go. Oh, see this little nick here? That's the little part for the mask. I forgot to cut it off. An X-Acto knife would trim that off much easier. All right, so that's done. Put that away. And with the stencils and masks, I mean, there's no, one is not better than the other. They're completely different. They're completely different. So where I can get something really intense here. No, I already started here to make sure I still had... I want to make sure I still had ink in here and it wasn't dry. And then I can take my pigment liner and, yeah, that's actually not bad. And I can, what would have been nicer is a vintage pen, which is, for me, they're all dried out. Don't use your really expensive pens for this, because this is really rough on them. So whatever you want to do for an edging is completely up to you. And this one here I can do the same. I'll make sure that's dry before I stencil that. Or stamp it, I should say. And if you have a sewing machine, you can sew this edge. I should move that bubble in a little bit more. These make really nice when you postcards, or you can greeting cards, or something really, really interesting and unique. And just go around as many times as you want. Now I can handwrite hello. Let me see what this looks like. I just got these. I just got these ones. Problem with these, my fingers are too fat to manage these. Oh, you know what? Let's just... I don't have the patience for this. Where's my O? Did I already take it out? Yeah. H-E-L-L-O. Ah. Get over there. I don't have the patience for that. Joe laughs when people say, oh, Gisele is the most patient instructor. She's the most patient when she's listening to us, especially when I've got a consult going on with somebody who wants a memorial pen or a custom piece. Giselle's so patient when she's listening, and he laughs. Patient? Are you sure? And yes, I could measure. Oh. Yeah, hell, let's leave it like that. Oh, cover your ears. There we go. Yeah. Huzzah. Huzzah. Look at that. Okay, handwriting it. This, you know what this looks like? Scary movie. Looks like some scary movie thing. But anyway, so there's the difference. Okay, so with the mask and with the stencil. So with the mask, I was able to get really creative with the gesso around here. This one here, I would have had to try to figure it out and line it up and all that stuff. Not so much. So I find that for me, the stenciling is a little bit more accurate and delicate, whereas with the mask, I can be a lot more, I can do a lot more with the marks. Now, the other thing I can do is with this one here, I could go along the edges. Almost like a sketch after the fact. You can do whatever you want. Over her boob, her face. And if you did this in black and white, then you can use your black pen. Well, let's see what would happen if we did this one here. I could come in and I'm going to make it really sketchy where I don't have to go over everything. You know, like one of those, like a sketchbook piece. Totally up to you. So you can see here where the stencil was attached, the mask was attached to the stencil. Like that. Oh, and then why don't we do this? And then this one as well. Again, totally up to you. Yeah, this looks really scary. I don't know how to make that a little bit more feminine. There we go. So, hope that, it helps you understand the differences between stencil and mask. This is just a very basic thing that I was doing. There's a lot more complicated ways you can do it with lots of layering and stuff like that. But that's a general idea. So, with the stencil and with the mask. One's a negative, one's a positive. So I hope this helps you. If you have stencils and masks, or you took my suggestion and did one of a kitty cat, carefully cut it out and you got that, I would love it over in the Facebook group. Post a picture in there to share what you did, and if you're using a stencil as to or if you're using a stencil mask that you bought, the brand, that way beginners in there can get a jump off point on DIYing their own piece if they don't have anything, to see if it's a technique that they like. That's the problem with beginners, is when they're just learning, because starting out with art, with mixed media, I don't know about you, but when I was starting, I had to buy everything. And then I ended up donating half of it because I didn't use it. So if beginners out there can actually see a technique or something that they really like and they can DIY it to get started, then they can buy the things if they really like what they've done. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if it did. I'm on decaf coffee now, so I think it's time for a caffeinated one. All right, time to clean up, and I'm going to get ready for the next project. So, looking forward to seeing your examples, and until I see you next time, stay inspired.